Okay, so you guys do have the answers at the bottom, but I thought I'd just go through a few more to make sure that you can see it more times. You can hopefully do a little bit better with it. So let's do 5. Um, so I'm going to write this out with the denominators factored though. So this is going to be 2 over x minus 1 over x times x plus 5 is equal to 2 over x times x plus 5. I'm going to multiply everything by x x times x plus 5. Okay, x cancels with x. Um, the whole thing cancels the whole thing in the bottom, and same with that one. So what I'm left with is 2 times x plus 5 minus 1 is equal to 2. I need to distribute the 2 into that, so that's going to be 2x plus 10 minus 1 is equal to 2. So that's 2x. 10 minus 1 is 9. Plus 9 is equal to 2. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So I've got 2x is equal to negative 7. So x is equal to negative 7 over 2. Check your non-permissible values. X can't be equal to 0, and it can't be equal to negative 5, so we're good. Okay, 6. So factor the denominators. We're going to have 1 over be 5 and 1. Oh, x and x. Plus 1 over 5 times. Oh, those are k's. Let's keep them the same. Okay, and then 5 times k minus 1. And then is equal to 1 over. Now I'm going to factor a 5 out of this whole thing first. So you'd factor a 5 out. And we'd have 5k squared plus 4k minus 5. So that's the same as the one we already factored over here, right? So it's going to cross this out. And that whole thing is equal to 5 times k minus 1 times k plus 5. It's going to do that like that. All right, now that is going to be my lowest common denominator, is the one I just wrote there, right? That has everything I need in it. So we're going to multiply the top by 5 times k minus 1 times k plus 5. This one by 5 times k minus 1 times k plus 5. And then this one the same. And then cancel what we can. So this one, we can cancel everything but the 5. This one, we can cancel the 5s and the k minus 1. And this one, I get to cancel everything. Okay, on the bottom now, we've got left 5 plus k plus 5 is equal to 1. I'm going to subtract both these 5s from both sides. So I end up with k is equal to 1 minus 10. So negative 9. Just check your non-permissible values. K is not allowed to be equal to 1, and it's not allowed to be equal to negative 5, so we're good. Okay, let's do 11. So n's not allowed to equal 0 off the bat, right? You can't divide by 0. Now, the lowest thing I can multiply everything by is going to be 2n. Let's zoom in a bit. 2n squared. So multiply that by 2n squared. Multiply this one by 2n squared. And we multiply this by 2n squared. All right, so nothing cancels in that first term. This term, the whole thing cancels. And this one, just the n squared cancels. So what we're left with is 2n squared minus, now put it in brackets, this is going to be important, n plus 4, because that negative sign out front is going to kind of change the signs a bit, right? That's like negative 1. And that's equal to 3 times 2 is 6. Now let's expand to this. This is like a negative 1. I'm going to multiply that by both those things. So we're going to have 2n squared minus n, and then minus 4 is equal to 6. Now let's bring this 6 back to the other side. So we're going to subtract 6. So we've got 2n squared minus n minus 10. All right, so now that leading number isn't 1, right? We need to factor this, but we need to figure it out what numbers we're dealing with. So the numbers I want need to multiply to 2 times negative 10, right? That's that one and that one. So they need to multiply to negative 20, and they need to add to negative 1. So what about 4 and 5? And then the 5 would be negative. Yeah, so they would add to negative 1. They would multiply to negative 20. Okay, so those are our numbers. We're going to rewrite this expression as 2n squared plus 4n minus 5n minus 10. We are going to factor this part on its own and then this part on its own, and that was equal to 0. So in the front one there, I can take out a 2n, and I'd be left with n plus 2. I'm going to factor out a negative 5 out of the second one, so negative 5, and I'd be left with n plus 2, because I factored out the negative, so that changed this sign there. That's equal to 0. So now I can see that my factors here are going to be 2n minus 5 and n plus 2. That's equal to 0. So what would make that equal to 0? You can make a mini equation here if you want. So that'd be 2n minus 5 and make it equal to 0. So then we'd add 5 to both sides, so plus 5. Then we have 2n is equal to 5. So n is equal to 5 over 2. So that's one answer. The other one is going to be, you can just kind of see from that one, n is equal to negative 2. And neither of those are 0, so we're good. All right, let's do 12. So we can see, looking at this one, we don't really need to factor much in the bottom here, but just kind of recognize that when it says plus 1, that's really plus 1 over 1. Same thing, right? So our lowest common denominator is just going to be b. So I just need to multiply everything here by b. So multiply that term by b, that one by b, and this one by b. Okay, now we can see that that one cancels with that one cancels with that one, and we just get 1 times b in the end there. Let's write this out again. We get b squared plus 3b minus 10 is equal to 2b minus 6 plus b. Okay, so we can kind of see we've got some b squared, some b's, and some numbers on the end. We're going to do the same thing that we did in the last question, where we make it all equal to 0. So let's just get everything over to one side of the equation. Doesn't matter which one, it'll work either way. What I'm going to do, though, is just start combining like terms where I can. So I can combine that one and that one. So let's write this out. B squared plus 3b minus 10 is equal to 3b, right, on both sides there, minus 6. Now, something kind of good's going to happen. We're not going to have to factor too much, or it won't be too hard. So all we have to do is let's get everything over to the left side. We could have done the right, but let's just get it to the left. So I'm going to subtract 3b. And hey, I get to subtract 3b. My b terms just go away. Let's add 6 to both sides right now, so plus 6. So we end up with b squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, 2 ways to handle this. Nope. You can think about this as a difference of squares, right? Because b squared minus 4. This would be b minus 2 times b plus 2 is equal to 0. And I can see that my answers then would be positive 2 and negative 2. So b is equal to 2 and b is equal to negative 2. The other way to do this, though, is to think about it as, well, you could go b squared minus 4, let's write it again, is equal to 0. What if I brought 4 to that side? So add 4 to both sides. So I'd have b squared is equal to 4. Now I could take the square root of both sides. So square root both sides. That cancels with that. And now I've got b is equal to the square root of 4. Remember when you take the square root of something that this isn't just b is equal to 2. This is also b is equal to negative 2. It's both, right? I have to take that into account because negative 2 squared is still positive 4. So the square root of 4 is positive and negative 2. So you get the same answer both ways. Now just go back up and check here though. Yeah, b was only not allowed to be 0. Now our non-permissible values there was 0, so we're good. So these are our answers. Okay, let's do 14. So again, we're going to factor the denominators where we can. So let's rewrite this out as x minus 6 over x minus 1 minus 1 over, multiply the 6, add the 7. It's probably going to be 6 and 1. And then negative and a negative. That's going to be equal to x plus 1 over x minus 6. So it looks like I need to multiply everything by x minus 1 times x minus 6. That's our lowest common denominator. So if we do that, we got x minus 1 times x minus 6, x minus 1 times x minus 6, and x minus 1 times x minus 6. Okay, cancel what you can. On the left here, I can cancel x minus 1 with x minus 1 there. I can cancel the whole thing in the middle term here. And I can cancel x minus 6 with x minus 6 on the bottom. Now, writing out what we have left here, don't forget to put this in brackets, because this x minus 6 is multiplied by that whole thing. So this is x minus 6 times x minus 6. Now, minus just 1, and then is equal to x plus 1 times x minus 1. Okay, now what we're going to have to do is expand this. So expanding this first part here, we've got x squared minus 12x plus 36. If you expand, I just did that in one step, that negative 12 part. And then minus 1. So let's do that right now. Minus 1, so this is 35. This is equal to, expanding this, I've got x squared minus 1. Okay, so we've got some x terms, we've got some x squared terms, so we got to get just everything over to one side and then factor that probably. But actually, maybe not. No, never mind. I lied. Something kind of magical is going to happen when we do this. When I subtract x squared from both sides, so minus x squared, poof, they're gone. So that makes life easy. So now I've got negative 12x. I'm going to add, actually no, I'm just going to keep it like that for now. So negative 12x plus 35 is equal to negative 1. I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. So I've got negative 12x is equal to negative 36. And then divide both sides by negative 12. And you get x is equal to positive 3. Negative divided by negative is positive. Just double check that our non-permissible values weren't any of those. So that's 1, that's 6. So 3 is not either of those, so we're good. All right, let's do one more. We'll do 16. All right, so we need to multiply everything. It's already all factored in the bottom. So just kind of put this in brackets, though, to kind of maybe think about this the right way. So we need to multiply everything by a times a minus 1. That's going to be our lowest common denominator. So multiply this one by a times a minus 1. Let me put that out a little bit far away. This one by a times a minus 1. And then this one, a times a minus 1. Okay, what can we cancel? Well, in the first one, we can cancel the a minus 1. In the second one, we can only cancel the a. And the last one, a minus 1. So we are left with a times, so make sure you put that in brackets too, because it's times that whole thing. So a minus 4 is equal to a minus 5 in brackets, and then a minus 1 plus just a. All right, so let's expand this. We've got a times both of those, so we've got a squared minus 4a is equal to a squared minus 6a plus 5 plus a. We're going to have the same kind of cool thing happen again, that if we subtract a squared from both sides, poof, they're gone. So now we've got negative 4a is equal to, let's combine these a's on the left side here. So negative 6a plus a, that's negative 5a plus 5. Let's add 5a to both sides, so plus 5a. So now what we're left with is just a, 1a, is equal to 5. Is that any of our non-permissible values? No, they were negative. A wasn't allowed to be negative 1 or 0, so we're good. Okay, hopefully you guys found that helpful. I didn't do the earlier ones. I thought you'd probably have more trouble with these tougher ones, so those are the ones I did. Yeah, so we'll start studying for the quiz coming up.